Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Toby Eunice with A Gypsy's Kiss. Stick with me a couple of seconds, and we'll have a wonderful It's All About You conversation with DeCall Thomas. So before I start our conversation with DeCall today, I'd like to welcome all of you into this It's All About You interview. This is the first one that we've done live, and I thought DeCall was a really good subject for this particular live interview. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Secondly, I want you to know that, of course, the chat's going to be open, and you're welcome to have a conversation in chat. And if you have any questions for DeCall, which is very different from our It's All About You interviews, you don't get to ask them because they're pre-recorded, and you have questions for him. If you want immediate attention on your question, please feel free to send me a text message to 1-800-947-1043. We are not going to open up the call lines because, again, I want the It's All About You interview to keep a certain pace. So, like I said, if you have a question, please feel free to ask it in the chat, and I'll get those. I'll get to those after I finish the interview. But if you'd like to make sure it gets immediate attention, I'll read the text questions first. The ones that you send to 1-800-947-1043. If you are an active searcher with boots on the ground experience and you would like to participate in our It's All About You campaign of interviews, please feel free to start the process by filling out the form at questionnaire.agypsyskiss.tv. When it arrives, it will be put down at the bottom of the queue, but we're working our way through that eventually, and as we get down further and further down the queue, we'll let you know in advance and start planning whether or not we're going to do this. This is actually a test today, whether or not the remaining It's All About You interviews will be done either live or pre-recorded. I had gotten really comfortable with the pre-recorded version, but like I said, I thought DeCall would be a great opportunity for a live version because you all know him from both the forums and from his participation in the panel that Sean Dodson has on Wednesday nights, the after party on the Flip Side. So on the Flip Side YouTube channel. So DeCall, welcome.
Yeah. Hey, this is awesome. I'm excited.
And DeCall and I met for the first time face to face when we were both at the Jamie Jordan raffle drawing event in Santa Fe back in early September now, and it was nice to meet him finally face to face. He also had the opportunity to meet Jason, who was there with me. So we had a very brief conversation. Unfortunately, it was a day that was moving along pretty quickly.
I was very impressed with the both of you. Very pleasant meeting. Very nice, great guys.
Thank you very much, as we found you as well. Thank you. So you've seen enough of these to know how it goes, and basically the idea is to help the search community understand who DeCall Thomas is and what kind of searcher DeCall Thomas is. As I advise everyone, you don't have to share any of your secrets. You're open to do as much or as little as you want, and if I ask a question that is a bit too intrusive, just say, like Fenn does, I prefer not to answer. I prefer not to answer that. So, so let's start off right at the beginning. So, DeCall, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? Who is DeCall Thomas? Where are you in life? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about your family so that we know just a little bit more about you.
Recently, I found out. Is that true that you're an Eagle Scout?
I was
really interviewing you, but I mean that's part of my story. I'm the oldest of 12 or 11 brothers and one sister. All my brothers got the Eagle Scout, and it's basically a world record for Eagle Scouts in one family. So I'm kind of proud of that.
Uh-oh. No, this is too early to lose DeCall in the conversation. Let me see if we had him drop out because the story was just getting good. So, so this is the problem with doing these things live as opposed to pre-recorded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to send DeCall another invitation and see if we can get him back on the stream because I want to hear the story about about him and his brothers all being Eagle Scouts. So let's see what we can do to get him back in here. So these are the things, unfortunately, that... Oh, I think he's back. Let's see. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to your... let me go back to OBS. So let's go back. You had started the story about you and your 11 brothers. Is it you and 10 brothers?
Yeah, 10 brothers and 1 sister.
And the 11 brothers made up a world record number of having achieved Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, and you know, we may never see a record like that again, but 11 Eagle Scouts, we're really proud of it, and it's really cool to have common ground here, you and I, on that one. And I mean, I love the old scouting days, you know, but that was before internet and everything, when we had more enjoyment in that. But my family, my family's a family of metal workers. And so we found some other common ground there with
Jason,
your son, Jason. Yeah, it's kind of cool. My brother's a world famous knife maker, Devin Thomas, Damascus, well known in his field, and our family's well known here in Las Vegas for pipe welding, and basically we welded all the water pipes in Las Vegas, if that makes sense. The big ones, you know, the big ones you walk inside of. And so my dad's had that certified welding is the name of the company since the 70s, and you know, he eventually retired, you know, and I took over that business, and recently my tax accountant basically said change the name, so I got my company now is Welding Nevada, and I'm enjoying that. I'd rather be on the internet sometimes, you know, but I have thousands of web pages and hundreds of domain names, but welding makes a good living. You know, I'm very good at it. You know, I'm just very good at welding. I hate to say it that way, but it's just so easy to make money welding compared to other things.
Well, I know as an amateur welder. So here's, as I listen to you, here's all the things we have in common. Scouting, of course, where I learned most of my outdoor skills. I still collect Damascus knives. Damascus made knives. I'm a big fan of knife making. I've never had the skill for it, but I do like collecting them.
It's very impressive.
And I went to a community college course in welding just so I could learn how to weld, and realized this is a lot harder than it looks to be good, right? To lay down a perfect weld is actually is more art than it is a skill. So I appreciate all of that.
If you ever wanted a touch-up course, or anybody wanted to come by to Vegas, I'll give you the best 30-minute course you've ever had in your life for free.
You know what? If I head that direction sometime, there is a $100 Harbor Freight MIG welder in a box in my garage. I'll bring it with me, and you can show me how to.
Oh no, leave it.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is. So tell me about your family.
Oh, well, my first wife passed away in 2003. We had 7 beautiful kids together, and she got cancer around 2001. It was a very invasive breast cancer, and you know, and that was a rough time for me. You know, but us guys will be fine, you know. But my little kids, my beautiful little kids, suffered a lot during those, you know, the last, you know, the first few years after her death, and honestly, you cannot replace a mother ever. It's impossible. You know, really, that part was tough. But I remarried a beautiful lady from El Salvador in 2006, and she has 4 kids of her. Believe it or not, I'm up to 11 now. I thought I was done at 3 or 4 kids myself, but somehow I'm at 11 now. But we're happy as can be. Oh my gosh, we most of them are married. I'm down to my last 3 18-year-old sons. I got twins that are 18, and my wife's son is 18. And we don't distinguish the difference, but it's easier to explain it that way. And because everybody, well, in the Mormon culture, I mean, all of her kids were sealed to me in the temple, and that's just what we are. You know, we're happy and content. You know, strong family commitment. You know. That's what
Well, I was actually going to ask because it sounded like Mormon-sized families. So I was going to ask you if you remember the LDS. I'm a big fan of big families. We only have a little less than half than you do, but I've always loved the idea of a big family and producing even more grandchildren, so that it spreads out. So, congratulations, and you should be very, very proud of that. El Salvador is a beautiful country. And it's experiencing some troubles right now, but
Sure.
I recall it being a beautiful country with genteel, beautiful, handsome
Oh my gosh, yeah.
people that are just a pleasure to be around. So
Beautiful. Y sí hablo español y entiendo casi todo y puedo hablar con mi esposa y por eso aprendí
muy
español.
bien. We should have done this interview in Spanish, but it's good. Your Spanish is very good. Your
Not
accent
bad.
is
It's
very
not
good.
bad. It's
Yeah,
not bad.
not bad at all.
Functional.
So it sounds like you're in a good place in life, and I think you have to be in a good place in life to decide to invest time, effort, money into searching for Fenn's treasure. So tell me, when and how did you get into the treasure hunt?
Oh my gosh, my dad and my uncle. Oh my gosh, they are some characters. If you were to Google hillbilly, I'm sure my uncle's picture would pop up. and surprisingly, that's how my brother got in the knife business. Was a little contest of my 15-year-old brother, you know, trying to outdo my uncle making his own knives. My uncle would put together cars and put together anything out of nothing, and that's the kind of guy he was. And my dad, very talented welder his whole life. But my dad and my uncle and their uncles, other people are like sort of like this treasure hunting people.
Mm-hmm.
And I always hated it. Honestly, I always hated it. But my uncle put something on Facebook. I think he published something about Forrest Fenn, and just like a little pass along idea. And so I read it, and I'm like, man, I think I'll order that book. And so somewhere in 2013, I ordered the book and just kind of picked it up off the desk once in a while, read it several times. And then I've never thought I'd be serious about it. But, you know, it kind of started eating away at me. And then my wife and I got in a little tiff one day in late spring or early, well, it was May or something. And so I said, man, I was kind of ticked off, and I'm like, man, I'm going to Montana or Yellowstone. So I jumped in the truck, drove to West Yellowstone. I didn't even know what entrance or how to, you know, where I was going. I didn't care. I just go check it out. And then I just gotten the Too Far to Walk book because I figured I might as well read about that too. And so I get there, and who knows how much time we have to go into this. Man, I went to Osprey.
We have as much time as you want.
I went to Osprey Falls all by myself. I didn't take bear spray. And what a really cool hike. Beautiful falls. I was thinking at that time, waterfalls is everything that matters, you know, waterfall. And so I got these massive leg cramps. I had eaten trail mix the whole way there, you know, 12-hour drive or whatever. And so now I'm suffering these major leg cramps. And this is before I found the keto diet, but leg cramps galore, and I could not walk. I couldn't do anything. I was just laying on the trail. And it was kind of terrifying because there were wolf tracks crossing the trail and every kind of track, bear, moose, elk, everything. And it kind of it'll humble you.
Yeah.
And then so somehow I wobbled back 7 miles like a scarecrow, you know. I can't even explain it, just trying not to twitch any single muscle. And so that night it was so miserable that I read the books again, because I was like, man, I can't play this game like this on a hunch, you know. So it seems like that night it was my brain, or my light going off was Hebgen Lake is brown trout. And now I know many people disagree with me on that.
You know what? One of the challenges for us is to ignore what everybody else thinks and go about it our own way, right?
Wow, isn't that a great attitude? Because because you gotta do, like in welding, in dating or whatever, you gotta do it your way. You gotta succeed or fail your way.
Yeah.
And sure, listen to people, read books, get out there, but do it your way. Yeah. So I had gone below Hebgen Lake. I saw this is an incredible, beautiful place below the dam there. And I figured below the home of Brown, just incredible looking place. First creek that had a road was Beaver Creek. So I took it all the way up there. I literally had 3 to 4 feet of snow up to my doors, and I had a 4-wheel drive truck, beautiful truck, but I must have been nuts going. I was nuts. I had no idea it was that dangerous getting in and out of there, but somehow I kind of floored it all the way back. I found a place to turn around, but I was so satisfied with that area upon seeing it that it just rang true after reading the books over again, visiting that. And that's my start in the chase, basically.
So I have to tell you that I had a drill sergeant once that informed me that you learn best by experiencing it, right? By going out and driving in the snow or whatever you did. Yeah. And then the caveat was, comma, as long as you don't kill yourself. So, so I love the idea, you know, I don't, perhaps ignoring other people's advice is the wrong way to put it, but you have to do it your way. You have to decide on what you're doing. You have to do it your way. You have to experience it, and then you learn from those mistakes if they are indeed mistakes. And so far, they all are, right? What we can say consistently is everybody's mistaken, and then you learn from that and spend the winter, you know, planning out your next season. So tell me again what year that was. That was your first.
That was the spring of 2014.
All right. So you've been in this. You've been at it for 4 years, and how much has your search location changed from your first recon to where you are now?
Well, surprisingly, I took my boys up the next weekend because I knew the snow would be lower.
And this was back in 2014.
Okay. It was like May. It was like the last week of May, which is barely negotiable in that area for snow and everything. And so I got up in there last week of May with my sons, and we had a blast, man. We had a great time. But during that week, I had found this salamander on the side of the mountain and the Floating Hat Lake, and it just felt Fenny enough to me, or spectacular enough to fit a solve. Mm-hmm. And I've been working on that ever since, you know.
So you're still in the, I'm not going to say Wyoming, Montana, but you're still in the Yellowstone area. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's definitely in Montana, and it's definitely the West Yellowstone area. Mm-hmm.
It being the search, or it being your search, or it being the treasure?
My search.
All right. Just want to make sure, because I'll just give up all this time that I'm spending in New Mexico.
Well, and even though in my heart I've kind of had a hard time with your New Mexico, but honestly, none of us can really decide for another person where they should be looking. Right. And I'm very content with what I'm doing. I've never experienced really Montana or Wyoming like that. Just incredible. I love it. I love it.
So we started this search here with Fenn on Mysterious Writings or February questions. Responding to one of the questions, he said something like, and this is a paraphrase, not an exact quote, my gut feeling tells me it'll be found this summer. We are within 37 hours of the end of summer. It ends tomorrow, Saturday at around 7:54 p.m., if I remember correctly, Mountain Time. It's later, of course, for others. And so we're about to complete the official summer search season. Two things. When, in your opinion, do you think that Fenn's treasure will be found? And, well, let's answer that, and I'll come back with another question for you.
Well, man, at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, man, it's going to be found this year too. I still think in the next year or two, it's going to be found. I'm not so arrogant to think it's me that's going to find it or anything like that. But I think Fenn has said there's enough information out there. He's acting like there's enough information out there. He thinks it's too easy to solve. So I got a feeling, you know, it very well, if somebody gets the right train of thought that matches Fenn's ideas, it could break. I mean, how can it not? I mean, if 110% of the information is already out there, more than enough to find this thing, then somebody will have it right, you know. Fenn said.
Yeah, there is no doubt that it's out there. There is no doubt to me. I'm not going to force anybody else. There's no doubt that it's out there. There's no doubt to me that it can be found, that it is possible to find the treasure, assuming you have a solution that works for you. For me, you know, so we started out this year, we finished this summer. I noticed that on your questionnaire, you thought, when I asked, when do you believe Fenn's treasure will be found, you said the 2019-2020 timeframe, which sounds to me like you've come to the same conclusion that I was. It's not going to be 2018. Right. So when do you think this treasure will finally be recovered, based on what you know right now?
Man, I mean, I'm kind of skeptical. I'm not skeptical of your ideas, but a lot of people, I mean, M. Davis, I don't know why he always says 1,000 years, but other people have said 1,000 years. But people are still playing. Why are we playing if yeah. And okay, I'm sure you're like me. We read people pretty well. I believe I'm reading Fenn pretty well. And human emotion isn't quite that different between 2 people or 100 people. And I believe Fenn wants this thing found. I believe it, you know, if he could find it, if he could coordinate the finding of the chest with his last year of life, he would probably love to do that. Yeah. You know, go out with a bang, you know, or maybe he's got this internal clock where he's thinking, man, I can make it a couple of years, no problem. I feel fine. I'm going to make it. You know, we all could get hit by a bus any day, but hopefully Fenn makes it a very long time. And Fenn, if you're listening, cut back on that sugar, would you? You know, a little bit of cut down on the carbs. You'll live a lot longer, Forrest. You know, cut back on the carbs, cut back on the sugar. You don't need it at your age, okay?
Well, I have a sense he watches our stuff, but I also have a sense that when he watches our stuff, it raises his blood pressure. So so a couple of reminders in the room. If you have a question for DeCall as we go to the room for after our conversation for questions, make sure you're preceded with an @ and DeCall so I can see it as the chat is scrolling by. And then, of course, if you want immediate attention after we finish the conversation, send me a text message with your question to 800-947-1043. The number is up there on the screen above our head. So I'm gonna say something, and then I'd like you to express your opinion on the matter, and that is, I don't think it's a 1,000-year search. I talk about 1,000 years because that impacts the manner in which I do my research. I also don't think it's a 100-year search. I think it's less than that. I don't know. After that, I'm not quite sure. But here's what I do know. When Fenn planned this out, however he did it, he was going to sell 1,000 books, and he was doing it based on the fact that those 1,000 books were going to be sold out of a bookstore in Santa Fe. And so his estimation of when it would be found was based on that relatively small market. Now he knows there are literally, and I'm not going to cite the number because we've heard it before and I'm not sure about it, but I think we could logically assume there are hundreds of thousands of searchers looking for this treasure. Only 1,000 of whom he had based his estimates of when it's going to be found on. So do you think the fact that there are so many searchers presently in the community, so many searchers with every article and with every BuzzFeed video coming into the community, does that change the algorithm for you of when it's going to be found? Because as I said, I don't think it's 1,000 years. I don't think it's 100 years. I think within a generation, there's a lot of potential for that. I just want to be around for that. I want it to be my generation as opposed to the next one. And I think like him,
I want it to be you.
And I think, like him, he wants it in this generation as well. But how has all that that influx of new searchers changed how you're thinking, not only about the treasure, but how and when it's going to be found?
Well, this new searcher thing is interesting. The new YouTube movement is interesting. The forums seem to be dying a little bit. Uh, and how are people going to catch up to what we know? They're going to have to go on the old forums. You know, they're going to have to go to ttoc.com. They're going to have to go to your blog, and they're going to have to go to Chase Chat. They're going to have to go to Hint of Riches. They got a lot of catching up to do. And isn't it great the work you've done, Toby? Man, you've put together. When I was thinking about the significance of your content, okay, the significance of your content, it's irreplaceable in this game. It's like the most important content almost, besides the poem and the book, is those interviews of Fenn. Okay, very significant part of this game. Because I don't, even the Lorraine Mills interviews were not as, well, maybe they're on equal ground, but these one and two interviews that you got were just so significant to how I form my opinions about the game and other people. So, but the new people, it's more interesting, really. What are we going to do with this YouTube thing? It seems like the whole energy is here in the YouTube.
I tend to agree with you. That's the investment we're making in terms of our time and effort, because we think that provides the best opportunity to expand information in the community, and it also establishes a consistent place for it. You know, if you're a new searcher, what you should do is watch the Lorraine Mills interview, the Collected Works interview, the Moby Dickens interview, and that's going to get you relatively up to speed to the point that you're not going to ask questions like, well, is it south of Santa Fe? You know, things like that. You can get as much information to start those things by watching those videos as you can by buying the book and reading the poem. You could read the poem online and then look at those videos, and you would have enough information from that combination of videos, some of which we produce.
Terry Scant is really powerful. Wow.
Exactly, Terry Scant and the document that No Paddle Creek Company produces. So those are all really really helpful tools. So now that we've come to the end of the search season, how much more time are you going to spend in this period searching in your search area?
Well, I'd love to be there. I'd love to. Actually, my wife hinted at her vacation we might go to Montana. I don't know if that's a dream come true or not, but that would be awesome. I did $6 million worth of welding in 2013, and it has created this huge ripple effect in my business. And so I can't just go zooming around, jetting off here and there. I have not been able to search this year because of that. You know, got lawyers and everything else. You know, these small businesses don't have a chance, you know, in this big pond of machinery, you know, money machinery out there. And that's me. But I'm trying. I would love to go to my search area. I would love to. And the other problem is my wife really, her heart's not in it. So I can't kill my marriage for the sake of this treasure. The treasure's not worth it. But man, I love it. I mean, we're a little friendship community, tribe, you know.
Yeah.
We're like family almost, and we enjoy each other's conversation and company. It's our little group, and just it was so awesome what we did for Jamie and these kind of friendships. It's easier to know and trust people this way.
So how are you going to spend, you know, we have an opportunity now for another 8 or 9 months worth of research, reevaluating our search areas, reevaluating our solutions. How do you think you're going to spend the next 8 or 9 months preparing for next summer's or next spring summer search season?
I feel a little bit like Illinois Ghost. I'm not really at a standstill. My area is unique and big, and I haven't given up on it just because I published. I published because I thought I saw something in one video of Fenn. Like I can't even explain it, but something triggered me one day, and I'm like, I've got to publish and claim my solve before someone else. Because imagine if a treasure was found in your area, and then later after the fact you go blabbing that, hey, that was my area, that was my area. Well, no one's going to believe you because you didn't talk about it, you didn't, you know. So I published my solve, thinking it's better to get claim to the correct solve. If it's indeed the correct solve. Don't care. Either way, it seemed like a win-win. The only possibility is I don't get the treasure chest. But I'm not overly concerned about having that box in my bank account, even though that's the whole reason we play. It's because it's a fun puzzle and it's worth a lot of money. That's why we play. But yeah, I don't think I'm answering the question, but I am.
Well, let me go back. Let me repeat it. So what you just reflected is the kind of enthusiasm that you and I both know is required to continue going forward. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a blog post on today on, like, here's the 3 things that you have to overcome to determine what you are doing next, what you're doing over the winter and what you're doing next season. But what you just did was you indicated the amount of the enthusiasm that it takes to get through the winter season to figure out that you've got something going next spring. So you have a solution, you're comfortable with it. What are you going to do this winter to refine that solution? Or what kind of research are you going to do to give you some other ideas for other solutions? How are you going to spend this winter?
Well, it only makes sense to be on Google Earth. I mean, Google Earth, other people like map programs. I find nothing's better than satellite images. I don't know if you can get higher resolution than Google Earth. You probably can somewhere. But high resolution shows you nearly every plant that's visible, every bush, every tree, general shapes and ideas. You can see contours of, I think you've got to have some. I know where my clues line up. I feel like they're very simple, like Boat Mountain and Beaver Creek. If that's not a good candidate for No Paddle Up Your Creek, of course I'm not saying I'm right. I'm simply saying that's the best candidate I can find in that area. So that feels solid to me. Water high, I'm looking for a water high. I believe that's Mini Lake, but who knows? My understanding of the poem, I believe I'm very good at the poem. I understand Fenn more and more every year, and I believe we're trying to figure out this little riddle, this little puzzle. And I'm a very emotional, symbolic guy. I like to think about, what is Fenn feeling here? What is his need to express in this poem? What is his major legacy and art, masterpiece? What is it, and what is he trying to convey? And I think it's going to be spectacular. The correct answer will be spectacular. And so we're trying to find that match.
I agree with you. I think time invested in researching Fenn at this point, considering the amount of material on everything else there is, and access to the internet, I think the more time you spend researching Fenn, the better off you are in preparation for next season. You get him, you get the poem. So based on that, which of the Fenn memoirs do you own?
Oh, I've got all 3 of them.
Oh, you do? And which of them do you find the most useful in terms of formulating your search strategies?
Well, of course, the first book had to be all the essentials in case he kicked the bucket. Hey,
but Eunice's that's Eunice's theory right there. So
had to be all in there. But okay, I think Forrest Fenn was giving us a little nudge when he wrote the second book, Too Far to Walk. And this is a huge part of my core foundation is, what is Fenn talking about? So he puts right on the cover of his second book, Madison Junction. And okay, so that can't be ignored. No matter if you're in New Mexico, Colorado, whatever, you cannot ignore Madison Junction, because that's either a parallel idea or it's a literal idea. It's one or the other. So it's a parallel or it's literal. So I choose to take the literal first. This is my core foundation. I take the literal first. I know M. Davis and other people call it low-hanging fruit, but I don't mind, because at the end of the day, when this is all over and the final press conference or Fenn's final words, who knows? I don't want to be weird, but in the final day of this chest, it's got to be easy to understand, because if you've seen Fenn galleries, if you've seen his house, if I can imagine these full-page ads that he did, everything is perfectly well designed. The way he laid out and and did the Fenn galleries is just incredible. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the detail he went to. And as a businessman, I can appreciate these details in ways that these young kids probably can't understand. The amount of effort it took to put that vault door in the Fenn galleries, the amount of effort it took for him to acquire that 11-foot solid pine table in there that used to be his dining room table. The amount of effort it takes to cast bronze. I know about these things, casting metal, casting bronze. These are no easy tasks. This is a man who has worked extreme amount of hours and put in extreme amount of detail. And so when we're looking at this game here, I don't think that a parallel universe is going to work. I think we're going to have to go with the literal expression of his books, okay? And in fact, I'll give you an example. My saw goes from the little water boy, Fenn as a boy, holding the fish with a sign that says water.
The water hole.
Yeah, which is very close to Madison Junction, and it goes directly to where he's sitting on Lightning in the coonskin hat, and he's on Trail 205. That's about 2,000 yards from my salamander. Okay, so to me, that is playing the game correctly. Is we're listening to Fenn. Okay, that's why I believe that we have to. And since I haven't disproven it, or no one is able to disprove, and Fenn has not disproven it, I have to keep pursuing it. It's too spectacular. I doubt anyone has a spectacular list as spectacular as mine.
Right.
But I don't. It's not arrogance. It's like, okay, please join me or contest me. It's fine.
Well, let's ask where you are in that, because that was one of the questions, as you know. What is your opinion of the probability of you, that is DeCall Thomas, finding the treasure?
Well, I see myself as kind of the inventor of the Gatling gun. I'm not the guy with all this bloodlust that went out shooting up countries after the Gatling gun was invented. I'm just the guy that invented the gun with no ill will towards anyone, you know?
Yeah.
At the same time, I really honestly think that I'm not the type. I'm not Napoleon. I'm the guy behind the scenes. I'm like this nerdy guy that, you know, is helping push this thing along. And I don't see myself. I might have the correct solve, but it's almost destiny that somebody else finds this damn thing, because there's these brute force personalities out there that will stop at nothing, and I'm not that guy. Yeah. I'm more of a thinker, analyzer, you know, symbolic. I really enjoy the feelings and understanding Forrest Fenn, and I think there's some more secrets to come out, like a lot more.
From you mean from Forrest himself?
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's alluded to secrets, and I don't know how they're going to come out, but I think there's more. I think he's a very intriguing person.
Well, so last question, but before I go to the last question, room, I'm about to transition into the chat room, so if you have any questions for DeCall, make sure you precede them with an @ DeCall, so I make sure you get your question answered. And also, if you'd like to make sure your question gets immediate attention, text your question to the 1-800 number, 1-800-947-1043. All right, DeCall, before we go to the room, and I'm not sure that there are questions in the room, last question, what's the best piece of advice you could give to the new searchers coming into the community?
If I have to be honest, oh my gosh.
No, yeah, be honest. And what would you tell them? Let's say a nephew of yours, I don't know that you have a nephew, came to you and said, Uncle DeCall, I've decided to get into the search. What is the best piece of advice you could give me?
Oh my gosh. I would not want my nephew playing this game. People are spending a fortune. They're risking their marriages. They're risking their life savings. Some people are even risking their lives. It's okay, but I got to admit, I've enjoyed thoroughly this game and the connections and the people here. And hopefully, you know, people live their own life. I don't like giving advice to people, but man, I would caution people to be careful if you're going to play this game.
Yeah. It does take time, money, and effort, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. We crashed our, wrecked my snowmobile. We lost it down in Beaver Creek. We lost the trailer over the side over there. Paid a guy to tow us out of there. Oh my gosh, we had so many. But it's great. These adventures. You got to admit, these trying times with your sons are the best of the best.
Driving across a river that I've never even experienced. I've never had any reason in the United States anyway to drive across a river. And the last time I drove across a river was in Afghanistan, and it was in a deuce and a half, right? So taking my little vehicle across the river was going like, this is actually, I'm going to drone shoot this, you know. All right. So first of all, DeCall, thank you very much for agreeing to do this. Thank you very much for your patience and answering all those questions. And I know that the room found it informative and entertaining. So what I'm going to do, guys, now, again, I'm going to go to the room. I'm going to look for questions for DeCall. This isn't an open Q&A, and I'm not going to do Shelley. I'm not going to go through the room and greet everybody. I want to make sure that we stick to the topic here, which is DeCall Thomas and any questions you have for him. In addition, like I said, if you want immediate attention to your question, text it to 1-800-947-1043. So give me a second while I scroll down to see if there's any questions for DeCall. A lot of greetings for you, though. Everybody's saying hi.
Yeah, everybody's so nice. Thanks, you guys.
Can you see the chat in the room?
Yeah. The first question I see is about my hat. The reason I'm not a cowboy, okay, I'm a welder, but my avatar, now my absolute all-time favorite guy is the Geico Caveman. And their television series, if you want to get the most incredible laugh of your life, is go back and watch the Caveman show series, okay?
Yeah.
And this is a guy that I totally relate to. He's sophisticated. He's a thinker, but everyone sees him as a caveman. And so that's why that's my avatar, and that's why I have this hat. And why not a little bit of style? You know, I'm a little bit eccentric, and everybody knows it, but pick something and go with it, you know, and let loose, you know.
Okay, next question for you from Cindy Guess. She says, where warm waters halt, what versus where? Which is more important?
Oh, I did a video on it, but basically to boil it down to 2 seconds is the cover of Too Far to Walk is Madison Junction. It's the most obvious conceptual choice for where warm waters halt. Everybody knows it, including Toby. They don't agree, okay, but everyone knows that's sort of like the low-hanging fruit, the most obvious answer. And I argue that we can't go on to a different warm waters halt until we have thoroughly investigated the one that Fenn is pointing out so blatantly. Okay, that's my argument. That's my foundation core principle. So where doesn't matter so much as what is Forrest telling us, and that's what he's telling us.
And so we know that Forrest has often said that the first clue in the poem is begin at where warm waters halt. I know that you have spent some time analyzing the first stanza to determine whether or not there's an indication. What do you think a searcher could look for? Where do you think a searcher could look to get some sense of where the warm waters do begin?
Well, I see, it's so crazy because everyone has confirmation bias. You know, all 4 states.
Well, just, you know what? Share your confirmation bias with
okay, mine is so simple. As it could, since the first word and last word are elements, as is arsenic. I believe it's relevant because that's how the whole thing got started. Is Fenn's kidney cancer, the most common side effect of arsenic poison is kidney cancer. So most likely, Fenn's kidney was lost because of arsenic. So and that's why I think the first word is the key word, as is arsenic. It's a yellow stone. The last word is an element, gold. It's also a yellow stone. Okay, other people have pointed this out. In the first line, there's also 111, which is a Yellowstone area GPS coordinate. Okay, but these are all still confirmation bias. Now, most people could still have arsenic in it. It's no big deal. But I believe that even the first line points to Yellowstone and the last line points to Yellowstone. But I'm fully aware that it doesn't have to mean that, okay? But I also just simplify, okay? So I have to research what Fenn is talking about. Now, he has talked about New Mexico. but just my gut feeling and overall impression is that he wants to show off Yellowstone.
All right. Well, in light of that, we do have a question from Sean Martinez in the room, and I just you guys had sent me the text messages. I just got them, and I'll answer. But because of what DeCall is talking about, Sean Martinez asks, DeCall, would you ever be willing to go on a search with someone in New Mexico?
It sounds awesome. I really enjoyed hanging out with everybody in Santa Fe. That was so awesome. My heart wouldn't be in it. I have said many times that if Fenn would rule out Wyoming or Montana, either one, I would quit immediately. If Fenn would say anything that ruled out my solve, I would be gone. You would never, and we're friends and we would stay in touch for that reason. And I would be so happy to be out of this game, but I can't. I cannot. In fact, my solve, I still contend, is very spectacular alignment with the poem and Fenn's life in place, time, and attitude. But I would hang out with you anytime. But if I was going to spend money, I would spend it on Montana. If I was going to spend money, I would,
well,
do what I got to do here.
It's a pretty quick and inexpensive trip from Las Vegas down to Santa Fe. So you should try. Yeah. Maybe we'll get together. You know what we should do is come on down, and I'll get all the New Mexico searchers together, and we'll have a group search someplace in New Mexico.
I would love that. And I have family on I-40.
Oh.
My family is Holbrook.
Yeah.
Snowflake, Lakeside, Shola. That's where my parents are from. So I'm very familiar with I-40 all the way to Gallup, and I love that. And I would love to spend more time in Albuquerque, Santa Fe. I love it. It feels like home to me. It does feel like home to me.
It is a nice area. So I'm going to connect you back to the It's All About You interview #1 with Bill Kaiser. Bill Kaiser has a question from you. Bill, of course, is from North Carolina. DeCall, are you planning to go boots on the ground next year?
If I could talk my wife into it, I will. The only thing I thought I could talk my wife into this year was this little trip to Santa Fe, because it was her idea that I got free tickets. My son is it was her idea to get free tickets. So the minute I heard that, I booked my tickets, and so it was her idea. So, but I can't, this is a delicate situation.
Yeah.
Talking my wife into it,
Read my blog post tonight, because that's one of them. So this is a question from a person who I don't know. It's Jason Yaunis. Jasoni Yono. Oh, it's Jason. Oh, it's my son. Yeah, my son Jason says, DeCall, what kind of stuff do you do with your welding?
Oh, I'm very good. I really prefer heavy equipment and big pipe and big commercial situations. I'm very good at welding. I teach guys how to weld. I've developed the most excellent welders around the country have came out of my shop. I'm very proud of that. But honestly, it's kind of boring compared to your tin work. I haven't done much art. My brothers are famous for their art, and I've seen them do every step. I have a salamander project. I'm working on a little. I traded my brother for a $2,000 block of Damascus, and it's a chevron pattern. It's a beautiful pattern.
I'm familiar with it. It's a beautiful pattern.
It's a solid block of Damascus, which is hard, very difficult. They have these massive power hammers, and it's an incredible pattern. So I've already cut it into the shape of salamander to give it to Forrest. But I didn't want to present something sloppy to Forrest, so still working on it. But I don't mind. I love art. I would love, that's kind of like a passion, but I'm so busy making a living,
You know what? I think the art that I see done by welders has always just, I think it's really imaginative work, and I envy that combination of the skill of welding with the tenacity for art. I'd love to see some of your work if you ever get to that point. So let me ask, Mary Green had a question from the room. Let me, I'm sorry, it was Cindy Guest says, DeCall Thomas, any thoughts on the, quote, personal reason, unquote, Fenn did not include his autobiography in his autobiography the reason his spot is so special. And I think that was an answer to a mysterious writing question that he got a while back, where he was asked whether or not his special spot was described in the Olive Jar autobiography, and he said no, that he had taken that out. And what Cindy wants to know is any thoughts on that matter, why it turned out that way. Oh, I lost him. So let's give DeCall a chance. Oh, there. Did you hear the question, DeCall?
Yeah, I have the fastest internet and the fastest computer money can buy. It's kind of frustrating, but okay, so yes, I heard the question. Now, what he left out of that biography is not necessarily the place. Okay, something was left out deliberately, and I wonder if it's not a confession of some sort, or a hint at a confession. I don't want to really say my ideas because they would
no. You don't remember what we agreed. You don't have to answer all of these questions.
Forrest Fenn. Look up the meaning of Forrest Fenn's middle name, Burke. Okay. And we'll leave it at that.
All right.
Now, I also think it's possible he was the Omega Man counterfeiter. Okay, because he has a way of ignoring the laws directly, and doing things his own way. And it's possible that he had a reputation for not fake art, but controversial art. Mm-hmm. You know, so I kind of admire that reckless cowboy spirit in Forrest Fenn, that fighter pilot attention to detail, doing whatever it takes to make it happen. And who knows what moral lines were crossed? We don't know. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, all of us are capable of amazing things and capable of horrible things when pinched, you know. And who knows how Forrest was pinched? You know, I've had 25 employees before, and lots and lots of responsibilities, and it's so overwhelming. And in the heat of the moment, there's so much going on. And I can imagine Forrest Fenn has been that way many times throughout his life.
I'm sure he's got that kind of personality.
That's why I think there are some good secrets, not just in the Olive Jar, but in Fenn's history. He alludes to them. He's not shy about saying they're secrets.
Let me expand on that because I have some theories about it. What are the possibilities that there's something in the bronze jars?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I'm asking. I know, but you know, what are the chances there's something special in those bronze jars?
Well, what if you were the Omega Man counterfeiter? Wouldn't you want to put one of your counterfeited coins in there?
Yeah.
That's kind of like a spite. Stick it to the man, I think. I mean, I love the salamander because it fits the jar theme.
Right.
And the frog is like the most prominent thing in the chest and the most prominent idea on the jars. You know.
I think it was interesting to see the not objects. They're not objects. The things that he chose: the dragonfly, the frog, the salamander.
Metamorphosis thing. It's incredible.
So I've got a kind of a question. I don't know necessarily it's a question from Lori James, our friend in Salida, Colorado. DeCall, nice answers. I'm in a different place, but with the same take on it. But get off the aspartame, buddy. It's bad for you.
I know. Listen, I've had this total health makeover.
Yeah.
I'm into keto and carnivore. It has changed my life. I'm no longer diabetes type 2. My doctor said, here's where diabetes is, and you're way the heck over here.
Yeah, right.
And I had massive sugar or blood sugar ratings. All that is gone. I got rid of acid reflux. I've got rid of sleep apnea. I've lost 50 pounds at least, and I'm feeling terrific.
Dang, you're going to have to share your diet with me.
Oh, it's awesome.
I'm struggling with it right now.
I have 2 videos on the keto. It's if you listen to this idea, Toby, and it's not directed at you.
Well, no.
Carnivore.
This is about you. This is about you today.
Okay, and think about carnivore.
Yeah.
Isn't that a dream come true for most guys?
It is for anybody. It certainly is for me.
Meat, cheese, eggs. Wouldn't that be a dream come true? Well, people are finding that they have the best blood work and the most excellent health after going pure carnivore.
Yeah.
this is like the myth that we've been living with for years. I'm passionate about this because my brother lost 70 pounds. Other people are changing, and this is way better than a treasure hunt because you're changing people's lives. Wouldn't anybody in the room like to be at 160 pounds or 180 pounds or whatever your ideal weight is and just feel terrific, be able to jog 2 miles with no, I don't exercise. I've lost all this weight with no exercise. It's all about the keto or the carnivore, and it's not complicated. This is the best health that you can find. I'm very passionate about it.
All right, let's go back to the room. So Joey Perro, our friend in New York, says, DeCall, what are your opinions on the photoshopping in the book with regard to your solution?
Well, okay, I think a lot of, you're not going to like my answer because I don't think Fenn is a Photoshop guy. I think he's a storyteller. He always had to sub that out to other people. So he's not, if it was Jeremy Parnell hiding the chest, now you better realize this chest, his game is going to be about Photoshop.
Right,
he's fantastic at it. But Fenn is not fantastic at Photoshop. So I don't think there's any squiggly lines. I don't think there's any Photoshop. I think he's telling only a story. So all we've got to worry about is what is the story he's telling. That's it.
Okay.
No issues.
So question from Fenn Treasure Hunters on YouTube. DeCall, do you think that maybe it's possible warm means nothing and it could be solved the same way using begin it where waters halt? He's asking, could you pull the warm out of that sentence and get to a solid conclusion just by saying begin at where waters halt?
I like it. I think we can't discount any words. That seems like the most powerful sentence in the poem because it's where we start. Everybody's and warm has to be an indicator of where to start, and halt must be something powerful because it's such a unique word. So warm and halt and begin. Oh my gosh, they all got to be important. I mean, I hate disagreeing with, but that's I'm looking just at what Fenn. If Fenn says Madison Junction, we got to look at it some more. I don't think we need to be so clever, but I like the question. We're thinking about it.
No, I think it's a really good question because it stretches the possibility, gets you away, gives you an alternative to reading that poem one more time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close the chat room. If you have any more question, get it to my 1-800-947-1043 via text if you want me to make sure I get that question in. So first of all, DeCall, thank you very much for agreeing to do this. As I said, it's risky, of course, because you have to deal with the technical issues on both sides, but I think we did really, really well. We dropped out, but we came right back up. Secondly, for those of you in the chat room who are showing up on a Friday afternoon to see the It's All About You interview, let us know in the comments box below or by your likes or dislikes whether you would prefer to see the It's All About You interviews in a live stream or pre-recorded and uploaded. So I know where I prefer, but I want to hear it from you guys, and then we'll make a decision about how to deliver these in the future. If anyone is watching this and you want to participate in the It's All About You interview program, go to questionnaire.agypsieskiss.tv. You'll see it up there above our images, and fill out the questionnaire. That's the first step, and then we're literally just working our way down the queue to get to people. DeCall actually was one of the first to fill it out, and I asked him, because it was so long ago, I asked him to update it based on his activities this search season. Remember, too, that we're doing a Friday Fenbury tonight. I'll be on starting at 7 o'clock, and it's just open Q&A on the phone and on text. And we're just going to talk Fenn things. Whatever question, whatever comment you had, get on the phone. We'll talk about it. And no, I'm not going to do any presentations, no agenda. It's like a radio talk call-in show. That's what we're going to do, except we talk about Fenn. So join us tonight at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I am going to restream all. I had a couple of emails saying that they never get to see our shows live because and the live is important because they don't get to chat. So we're going to try and experiment tomorrow night, and starting at 8 o'clock on Saturday, we are going to restream the 3 shows, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, on our live stream channel, and the chat room will be open. The difference is we won't be there. We won't be doing the presentation with commentary in the chat room. We're just restreaming the 3 programs, and you're welcome to join the chat and have a conversation about them if that's all you want to do on a Saturday night. Now, Saturday nights probably isn't the best night because that's the night that a lot of people are busy, but we thought we'd try it out. And again, comment on it. Let me know what you think of the idea, and we can continue to do that if that's something that you want. Finally, I would like to thank our moderators for being in the room and making sure that everything goes smoothly. I want to say hello to my son. Jason actually came by the house this morning for a cup of coffee and brought my grandson, Shush Michael, with him, so we had a good time. So it's been a good day for me so far. And the only thing I have to do at this point is go buy some groceries. So again, DeCall, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you. Well, why don't you tell people tell everybody where they can find you on the internets?
Google my whole name, DeCall Thomas. You'll find my business. You'll find my Facebook/DeCall. You'll find different things. You'll probably find my email and phone number. Call me, write me anytime, anything you want to talk about. I love it. I'm a friend, the nicest guy in the world. That's the way I like to be.
And you have a YouTube channel, is that correct?
Yeah, DeCall space Thomas on YouTube. Just put my name right in. Okay,
and then in addition to that, you are a regular member of the Wednesday night after hours party hosted by Sean Dotson of The Flip Side. After we do our Wednesday panel session, immediately after that, they do a panel session, and DeCall is a regular on that. And spends a lot of time defending everything from his black hat to his solution. The word chameleon comes.
A great time, yes,
yeah, the word chameleon comes up a lot. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it. And again, remember, if you like what you saw, give us a like. YouTube likes it when you like us, and share it with your family, friends, neighbors, and business associates, as well as your social networks. And if you're not already a subscriber, click on the subscribe button and click that notifications bell so that you are informed when we start a live stream or we upload another video. Thanks for joining us today. This is fun. I have a feeling we're going to get to do more of these It's All About You interviews live stream. And don't forget, use that 1-800 number if you want to make sure you get some attention tonight on tonight's show. You can text me a message that we will read on tonight's show, or you can leave a voicemail. If you call the 1-800 number right now, you can leave a voicemail that will play on tonight's show, so that we can comment on it. Again, thanks everybody for joining us, and DeCall, my warmest thanks for agreeing to do this today. You did a great job.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, Toby.
Love
what you're doing. Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll talk again.
Yeah.